Welcome to season 2 of the POV podcast. My name is Kate Rira. Remember, you can stream us on all platforms. Season 2 is all about African leaders and African stories. And of course, I have to have an African leader on my chair today. And of course, the person I'm speaking to, I know him a little bit personally than I should. But the most impressive thing about someone's story is how they come in and out of anything. A story of a man traveling to the US for over 24 years, coming back, and of course, carving a path and even a family for himself is something everybody would want to hear. Welcome to the show, Ras.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm well, I'm good.
Uko salama?
Sana kabisa.
Huku kuna kupelekaje?
Glad to be home.
Oh, glad to be home. Wow.
Yeah, away from the winter, with the snow and all of that, na baridi.
Yeah, by the way, sai huku ni tuko na kajua kidogo mpaka Januari.
Ni kazuri yako.
Ungekuwa una freeze.
Ni kazuri.
That's good. Have you come back a lot back home?
Yes, in the last 10 years.
You've been coming back home.
Like I try if I can at least once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to hear Kenyans transitioning from staying in the States and coming to Kenya. Mm-hmm. And now a lot of people want to leave. Now wengine wataka kurudi nyumbani. It's such literally the person I had on this seat before you was a guy who was coming from the States and coming back to Kenya. And even the first episode was a lady who left the US and coming back to Africa. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what do you think about people who are coming back now here for good?
Once you experience the life out there in the States, once you've lived for a while, I think it's too much. There's too much rat race in the States, and it's kind of laid back.
Too much?
Rat race. It's
naraka.
You're always on the go. It's go. Like, unanga ile time ya me time or kurelax vizuri. So I think why you see most of the people wanting to come back, myself included, is because I think home is best, number one.
Yeah.
And also just to get away from all that constant hustle, bustle of every day. So just to, retirement, as we call them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think if you want to slow down, this is a place to be. But even more so, Nairobi and especially Kenya is going very fast.
Yeah.
But you could say you miss the food. You could be sincere and tell me that. Chakula yetu inaonja vizuri. Si uongo.
Hata si, for the most part, one of the things, the food, and also family and also friends that unaacha hapa hivi, there's people who are doing really well wakiwa hapa hivi. So it's combination of a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's not just limited to some things, but a lot of things.
Would you want to come back home completely?
Planning on working on it, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everybody, home is always best, with people who kind of look like you.
Yeah.
Rangi inafanana. The weather is somewhere you're familiar, the food is something you're familiar with. But you've been there for 24 years.
Yes.
That's a very long time for anyone.
Oh, yes. Actually, most of the people that... when I left, there were kids. Some of them are people that have families now.
Watu wazima
kabisa. Yeah.
It's very impressive to see how life moves.
Yeah.
And what do you think would have been different if you lived in Kenya for those 24 years?
That question is kind of broad, but to say the least, I think I'd be dead. Number one, because of my drinking.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then... and because most of the friends that I used to party and drink with back then maybe one or two are still alive, but for the most part, wengi hawako. So that's one way I look at it. The other way is maybe I'd be really successful business-wise. Yeah. And another way I look at it is maybe in jail.
Jail, success, or death.
Yes.
Those are the three options for us.
Yeah.
Hey, and to Apple, you've picked a very heavy one.
Yeah.
And when you say death, of course, for a young man, it's I don't like to hear young men die.
Yeah.
Especially in the hands of alcohol. Let's go back to these friends that some of them have lost their lives. Mm-hmm. Where was this drinking happening?
This was just like around where I came from.
Ini mtaa gani?
Ini mtaa hapo place inajita 87. 87 next to watu wanajua Kino.
Watu Kino 87. Okay. So, matatu za nini 87?
Za kwenda Kikuyu. Back then zilikuwa zinaenda Muthiga.
Saini Super Metro.
Saini Super Metro.
So you feel like at 87 there was a lot of alcohol that time, inamwagwa kwa wingi ama nini?
Hata si ati kumwagwa. Hiyo time kulingana na hustle ilikuwa ni pombe za chini ya maji. So ilikuwa ni chang'aa, zile mitini dawa, matoivo.
Ati mitini dawa?
Pombe inaitwa hivyo.
Gani?
Hizo sasa ni local brew. Mostly like a locally brewed Moratina kind of.
Okay. So it's usually distributed within those environs and many environs.
Yeah, back then.
How much was a cup going for? Because I know it's paid either by the jug or by the cup.
50 bob your time.
50 ni shilingi kiasi? Na ni mob?
Yeah, na ni mob.
And this is a 20-year-old boy.
Yeah, a very lost 20-year-old boy.
That's scary.
Yeah.
So, what made this step of, okay, wacha tuende state ama tutamalizikia hapa? Because kuna watu wengine wanamalizika, as you're saying, you've come back and you've seen some people leave and you've never seen them again.
Yeah.
Others lost their lives, others, still lost in the mess. What made you jump on a plane and decide, hey, wacha tujikate?
Mostly ataikuwa decision yangu, tuseme ukweli juu. I think pia Pero aliona umse vile anaenda. He won't because now, once there is the drinking, there is also the chaos that comes with that drinking. So kwa manoma unapigana. So yani ilikuwa tu chaos inene, polisi. So chaos ni mob. So unajua pia as the chaos inaongezeka, mother atakao ukijana, I think venye anaenda is not the right way, Yeah, so that's what led to the intent of kwenda hiyo side ingine.
That's really good. And I think sometimes you have to take steps really fast and really quick so that you can move, because usipofanya kitu haraka zile kwa pabaya inaweza chomeka zaidi ya mahali ipo. So you've decided to go to the States. Even there you're settling in as a young man. You've left all your friends here. Umefika mahali watu wanaongea lugha nyingine, wanakula vingine, wanabehave vingine. How does a young Anto, step into or assimilate in this new land?
Shock. Yenye wanaita culture shock, that lasts for a while. Because like everything just imagine everything you kind of have to relearn. So like even like just just kuongea na mtu.
Yes.
That changes, and you have to kind of change the English for someone to understand you.
Wow.
So it's a lot, man. The first few years are tricky. Mtu akifika huko. So say for the first few years were kind of really hard for me.
How was your family helping you settle in? Because you mentioned that you were living with family when you went to the US. So even you went with your family actually.
Well, akunaga mtu anatimia mtu.
Allah?
Uko.
Hata ndugu?
Ndugu na dada? Wako busy. Unajua, everyone has their life, and now that you're there, they're not gonna stop their life. So they were there, but it's kind of a crash course in venye huku kuenda. Ni crash course okay, ABCD ufai kufanya, hivyo. And then
unarushwa depend we
endaga, sink or float, then you learn.
What does that do to a young man?
Well, really important lessons, number one. And I usually put it to everyone that's coming here, coming to the States, ati hakuna mama ya mtu huko.
Hakuna madhi?
No. No, unajua how you have a fallback.
Karibu niseme na lugha yangu ya ushago. Yoko adai.
That one.
Yes.
Hakuna. So, unarushia kwa wolves from get, which at that point, inafanya you grow up really, like when I'm 22 at that point, I think. So responsibilities, sasa if you are used to waking up at say 10, 11 asubuhi, you can't do that. So it's change, and it's quick change, as in you have to adapt quick. So you're only given lessons by the people, say, who you see on the weekend, which is not a guarantee, because everyone is, kila mtu ana hustle. So utaona kila mtu wa kukuambia how it goes on. So most of the lessons are kind of self-taught.
Damn. You know, it's really scary because one of the things that is lacking, especially in our society, is guidance.
Yes.
Watu wengi wanapotea kwa sababu hana guidance. Hata kama we mwerevu vipi, you might miss a step because you're not guided.
Yes.
You might lose a lot.
A lot, yep.
Ras mentioned something that even in the 24 years, there's a part of him that was a little bit lost when he was in the States and lost in almost the same thing that he was lost in when he was here in Kino, 87.
Yep.
How did you find yourself, you know, in alcoholism in the States? Because that's even scary because supply iko juu pia. I've checked the measurements sometimes and even the alcohol content ya huko iko juu zaidi.
Sasa imagine, uko 22, ujaishi kado because I'd never been employed in Kenya.
Yeah.
So you're 22.
How are you making money in Kenya, by the way? Let's go back kidogo.
Hustling.
Upate hustling gani? Matatu nini?
Matatu, kuuza, broker, to job, like just imagine out of high school back in the day, when you clear, there was no connections at for a job. So the best you could do was just do what you found people doing, you know. So which was MJE, if you can do like a business of sorts. So that's the few years I was out of high school and nikiwa mtaa ilikuwa sasa uto hustle kutafuta tu do na for the most part si ati ni do iko na maana, ni do tu ya sheria tu hapo and then
I know
si
pesa inaweza sustain,
si ati ni rent ama ya mtu ama anything like that. So and it was just minimal ya kucover tu self enjoyment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aya, tumefika Stato. Sherehe huko pia inajipa. Kuna marafiki wapya.
So imagine huko hivyo umeanza kumake do. And at that point, ni do mob, ni do ujai ona. Na at that point, I hadn't quite learned the way things work, like responsibilities, yada. But for the most part, sasa ndio unaanza kulearn na kugrow. So nimejipata sherehe, sasa ninaweza afford hata anything and everything.
Chupa ya adabu.
Ya adabu, na imagine umetoka kwa cham.
Ile ulikuwa unaitaje?
Miti ni dawa na kinapato hivyo. Imagine
umetoka miti dawa.
Sasa unaweza afford chupa iko na adabu, alafu kule hivyo ni every brand in the world unaweza pata. From the most expensive to the most cheapest. So
it's in supply.
Oh, a lot of it. There's
a phenomenon we see online a lot. They say in a lot of either black neighborhoods in the States, there's always either a liquor store, a fast food store, and it's by design.
It's by design, and it's been since way back when. Something that's meant to suppress that kind of kuweka to a certain level.
Yeah.
So it is true.
Do you feel like that contributes to the fact that it is available, it is there, and it is a friendly price as well, and you're making money?
You know, the funny thing about my story is that your time, the first thing I'd look for how and how far away it was from a liquor store. That was the determining factor ya mali ningeishi.
Kabla angalie palibasi iko karibu.
Liquor store? Oh, okay. And then home.
Mali unaweza pitia jioni.
Yeah.
So we're enjoying ourselves. We have money now. You know, we're able to do what we're able to get a coin. We're able to eat properly.
Yeah.
Were you living close to your family?
Now, at this point, I'm living with Famo. But obviously, you know, like again, now the chaos has translated from Ama has moved from Kenya to Stato. Same chaos with Famo, like fights, nini issues. So obviously, you have to either wanakuchuja ama they can't deal with you at that point in time. And damu ni moto your time. So branched off to live by myself, nini. And at your point, as obviously in relationships za huko, with also a lost soul like yourself at that point. So didn't really work out for me huko nje. So it would be a kind of a loop. I'd go mess up huko nje, find myself back with Famo for quite a while. Ilikuwa tukaluka.
So you'd move out and move back in?
Yeah, I'd move out, go try and think I'd be able to conquer dunia peke yangu huko and always find myself looping back and,
That's scary for even a mother.
Yeah.
When you look at your child and they get lost so many times. Do you remember her talking to you, or how do you remember your conversations with your mom at that time? Because of course a lot has changed since then.
Well, not quite. We'd stay for years.
Hatuongei.
So she could travel back and forth.
Oh, so from Kenya to okay.
So alikuwa anapata like the first time I remember she came, akirudi aliniacha nikiwa ndani. I don't know what
jela.
I don't know.
Unafanya nini ndani?
Uko kulikuwa home away from home.
Ulikuwa umeshikiwa nini?
Man, a lot of things, man. Disturbing the peace. List of things. There's so much. There's disturbing the peace, assault and battery. There's what?
My God. That's scary because the charges could go really bad and you could get, life imprisonment.
At that time,
yeah.
Fortunately or luckily enough, it wasn't as bad as it is now. Because back then, very few offenses were deportable offenses. So we lived at a time where it was kind of lucky. Yeah.
And these are really misdemeanor, but also assault and battery is a little bit messy because it could go. I usually say avoid assault and battery because it could go really left. Real bad.
But you're at an age where you don't know better. You're looking back. If I would talk to that guy from those years, I don't even think we'd have a sit down because wow, looking back and like where my space, mental space was is really different than it is right.
That boy was really lost.
Lost, yeah.
Lakini ungemwongelesha, sasa unaweza mwongelesha.
Asa naweza mwongelesha,
unajua ni nini inaweza fanya akae chini. Do you remember what's the longest time you spent in jail?
8 months to a year.
Yo.
Yeah, and that was by the way niliingia kwa mtu nikiwa tei kimakosa.
Wala nakuchekela. Nishaona kitu kama hiyo kwa CCTV nakanga fine. Aliingia kwa nyumba ya mtu.
And nikiwa tei ikakuwa ni breaking and entering.
No, sincerely you were not planning to enter.
I think hata nika-break you because that was why they so.
Pole. Yeah, so it sounds a little funny. Yo, so this person is scared.
Obviously, and again, that person was really lost. You see, hata anapotea akiwa tu.
Was it close to your house when you look at the...
the houses are kind of really identical. Really, really, like the town I lived in back then, kuna kuwaga na 3-decker, like 1, 2, 3 floors.
Townhouses, yeah.
Yeah, so the way they were built back then, they're all identical. So if you knew, you wouldn't really,
How far was that house to your house?
I missed it by 1 house, I think.
And the judge couldn't hear you?
Well, the thing is, in the States, things are like, if I was sober, that would have been a really easy simple explanation to give to someone. Oh, I made a mistake and nikaingia huku kimakosa.
Hata utasema pole.
And they'll understand. But see, now you're intoxicated. So, number one, remember the accent. That forever is there, no matter what. So accent inakuwaga iko.
You sound like an African.
You sound like an African. You're black also.
You're an immigrant.
So like there's so many things working against you. So when nearly happened, it was just, I think, miscommunication on my end, and then I don't know. Yeah.
So you're out of it. You're sleeping.
I think that was actually my first offense.
Damn.
Yeah, that was my first offense.
And then now a trail of many other events.
Oh, many more.
I'm sorry.
No, don't. Yeah, those were really hard lessons in life that I had to learn, that I had to go through to be what I am today. If I didn't go through those things, I wouldn't be here. So I don't regret anything or nothing from the past, but I'm really grateful about all of them.
How did your family, take you out of this? Because 8 months in jail, you get, you're probably, I don't think indicted really, but you're constantly in against the law, and they're constantly having to bail you out.
I think I think they only bailed me out once, and that was later on. Because again, these are on offenses that are really like ni vitu za ujinga. So they weren't really major like offenses, but at the same point in time, they were just piling up on my record. Yeah. So it took for a while. They knew, because now most of the time hatuishi pamoja, so they just hear about things that happened to me.
Yeah.
Because say if you get arrested in the States, kesho iko kwa gazeti.
Lazima mchome, mnachoma, kwani anachoma? Hiyo sio poa.
So if someone wants to know whether if you're missing, it's quite up.
They write an announcement. Antony
wale watu wote walibambwa jana iko hapo.
Hapana wewe. Hiyo mambo sio mzuri.
But to this day by the kwanza sign online.
Wewe. Unajua ni kuchoma. Hiyo ni bamchomis. That's not nice.
Yeah, so,
I wouldn't want that. So that's where they're seeing your records.
They're seeing, disorderly conduct, nini. Oh, okay.
Damn.
Yeah, so that went on for a while. It did. And then finally, I think a different administration came and things started getting serious, kind of, So now,
was it the Obama administration?
I think it was the Bush, because the Bush was there for 8. Yeah, Bush was there for 8. The Bush administration was that's when things started changing. It was like back in the day, say, like, I remember one incident, tumetoka sherehe mahali, I came, and then I think I got a call to kwenda kuona mtu, and it was like 3 a.m, really late.
Yeah.
Na nilikuwa nimeshinda sherehe mahali.
Yeah.
Got in my car, hadn't even driven like say a block or 2. I got pulled over because kulikuwa kumesnow. So nilikuwa naondokea magari ziko on the side, and then I was driving like katikati ya road kuondokea hizi magari.
Yeah.
What they later called going over marked lanes. And nilikuwa mlevi, so hiyo time wakarao kama kaniuliza, have you been drinking? Nikamwambia yes I have. Akaniuliza and where you're going? Nikamwambia. Akaniambia, since you are honest with me, I'm not gonna arrest you, but I'm gonna tow your car, but tafuta mtu wa kujie gari yako. That's back in the day.
Yeah.
Which happened, and back in the day it wasn't as bad, but as times changed, hiyo ikakuja imeisha yote. Kara would actually follow you on your way home, make sure you're safe, and then he'd be on his way.
That's nice. That's kind enough.
Yeah, that was back in the day.
Yeah, now
no.
Because hata watu wameongezeka and the force is still, bado watu ni wengi kuliko the police force.
Actually, for that to change, they passed a law, I think at some point 2007-8 Apple, where a guy killed a young kid that had like 5 DUIs. And he was getting back and getting his license. So the whole country was like, so
something's got to change. Yeah. I think drinking and driving in Kenya is such a common thing. To the people, the term gari najua nyumbani is something very common here. But every time I speak with someone who's from, other countries, they're like, hey, this is abnormal.
No, that's crazy. If you see someone this day and age in the States getting a DUI, that's number one, very ignorant. Because remember, those days of me doing the sherehe, whatever, there was no Uber. It was just taxi.
Na Uber. Ama ride share, ama nini hakuwa na kutoka hiyo. But
for me, I always said, if I'm staggering, if kana stagger natembea, my car will also stagger. So luckily enough, that I had like 1 or 2 incidences na gari, and after that I got really scared. Sikuwa iguza gari tena.
That's nice of you, because you see, the thing about an accident, it could go so left. You either lose your life or lose your limbs. And with that, it will cut short even how you make your money, to really cut short a lot of things. Yeah,
and then, like I said, you see all these 2 pile-ups of 2 incident here, later on in life, they've worked against me vibaya.
Oh no.
Yeah.
When you're setting up a business, or or even if you want to stand for office, watu bado watarudi kwa ile record waangalie.
That never goes away.
Nasi nimesamehewa na Mungu. You may have been washed by the blood.
That works against you. And it's always been there. I mean, and funny thing, kwanza ni, ever since I sobered up, it's been harder for me to find a job.
Wait. It's harder for you to keep a job while sober.
Yeah.
I think sometimes even, it's a weird phenomenon sometimes, the devil sustains you so that you sustain him.
That is exactly it.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing.
That's actually the headline to all that madness.
Yeah. But now you've been able to build something for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of change.
Yeah.
Which is that year that Anto looked back akasema na baby, it needs to end. When do you remember the year or even the day you said apana?
2011 August the 3rd.
2011 August the 3rd. Hiyo inakuanga birthday yako fulani?
Yeah, hiyo ni sober date yangu.
Wow.
Yeah.
You put the bottle down?
Not willingly, but now imagine now you're 10 years in, almost 10 years in. Yani, there's this loop of craziness that keeps going. Every time you do this happens, and then it trickles down. For the most part, the craziness would start. Then I'd lose the job. Obviously, you stay 2 paychecks without working, without 2 paychecks, you're homeless.
Without 2 paychecks?
Easy. Homeless direct. So it would start like that.
Yeah.
Like that. The first time, okay, now I'd have the fallbacks of my sister, my brother, or whatever. But the last time when, now towards the end, walikuwa mechoka. Yeah, Japan, where's it come?
When you're coming closer to the 10 years, your brothers are closing their doors.
Yeah, they're like, where's it come? Jusa umechoma.
Nasa utenda.
See, now I ended up on the streets. And that was the awakening moment. Okay, because before now, fallbacks zilikuwa. So this, the 2010, 2011 is when I hit the bottom, sasa vizuri, with no one to pull me up except myself. So when that happened, I had no choice except ile unasikiaga proverbial kuchekea kwa choo ama kulia kwa choo.
Kulilia kwa choo.
That one. So that day, that's when that happened, and I just that year I'd been longing to have that happen, because I'd lost so much, relationship-wise, friendship-wise, material-wise. I'd lost so much, and it just got into a point I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. I just had enough of that life. So when that happened, I just said I needed help, and I needed help because I couldn't, because I'd tried on my own, and I'd do a month and then I'd fall. I'd do 2 months, then I'd fall. So I needed someone who would give me the strength to carry on and make it, to sustain the periods.
The sobriety and
to sustain the period. So
and a good life, yeah.
That year, luckily, one of a guy my sister was seeing at the time worked for
your sister's in the States as well?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's because you mentioned your brother.
Yeah.
So, how many are you, by the way?
We are 4 of us.
Okay.
One is was in the States but is back here now. One is in the UK and one is still in the States, and I'm in the States.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So this guy who's seeing your sister is the one who held your hand?
Yeah, who worked at a detox somewhere, and he was able to get me in. And my last drink was that day, because I couldn't go to a detox sober.
So you don't go to a detox? So I'm lost. Nimepotea. Signal ime.
Utaenda detox ama rehab for tukiwa sober. You're okay if you're sober. So I had to be drunk. So that's the last drink I took.
That's why you're excited. Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Where was this? Do you remember the state?
Yeah. This is Massachusetts. A town called Worcester. And the detox was called CHL. And after the 3, because the detox usually is just 3 days, just to get the thing out of your system is 3 days. And then now, because that wasn't enough for me, I requested for them nikai.
Because also you don't have somewhere to go back to.
Yeah, I don't have where.
How long were you homeless when you decided to go to detox?
2-3 months hivi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So mtu analalanga wapi akiwa homeless?
Chopping, watu wanajua umsana place ya kuishi, wanakuchuja. Unajua kukasport kako mahali unaenda unajisunda tu.
Haina kunyeshe baridi, wezi.
But ilikuwa summer.
So summer, summer. So at least kuna joto.
Yeah, it wasn't the cold months, but yeah. So when this happened, there was a program away from the detox upstairs that you could stay for 30 days. So nikaenda huko nikakaka.
Yeah.
I still needed more time. Nikawaomba, they got me into now a long-term program, which was 6 months.
Okay.
Salvation Army.
Yeah. I've heard of, hata kunaye huko.
Yeah.
The Salvation Army huko.
Yeah, that program saved my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
6 months, Anto has done a whole new leaf.
Yeah, whole new leaf.
Hey, these 6 months, how are they? Were they smooth?
With that determination, I think they became smooth. Because now I know what I wanted, man. I just didn't want that life again. I was so tired of it. So, zile vitu nikuwa na deal nazo, na plus zenye nikuwa nimetoka, it was easier to deal with the obstacles that I was facing then.
Yeah.
Like the early two obstacles, like it was obstacles, say I don't have money for an energy drink. I'm like, kuna maji.
Unajua.
So it was too easy obstacles. And some of now when my family realized I was serious about all of this, they started coming in. And then now they started like, this time it looks to be, unajua. So they were coming through for me.
Were you the last one?
Oh, yeah. How did you figure?
I figured because you said you're the one who was with mom here in ndio mkaenda na yeye stato. Inamaanisha unajua mtu anakaa na mamake sana. Wale wadogo kabisa ndio wanakaa karibu na mom. This is really nice. How is your relationship right now with your mom?
Oh man, inseparable.
Yeah?
Man. That woman has if it wasn't for her prayers, man, I would I don't have words to say about her, man. Except every time I thank God for her twice, yani.
Wow.
Yeah. That's I don't beautiful. Have words to say venye amenishikilia na maombi.
Na imagine because unajua hata ukiona mtoto wako unapotea hata inakuuma. Na unajua the worst thing is you really can't do anything. They have to get to that point wafike kwa hiyo detox waingie salvation peke yao. Because
I can remember the first time I got here from the States. And I think how it had gotten walikuwa nani expect kwa box.
Kwa box?
Kani mededi.
Oi mwana.
So the first time nilifika hapa venye aliniona, man, you could tell that she couldn't believe.
When you came to Kenya?
Now this is post sasa hii ni sober life sasa. The first time I got here. Hata mimi sikuwa najiona nikikuja any other way.
Hiyo ni kuingisha mtu baridi.
Ni noma. Ile when earlier on you said how those there's liquor store concentrated on whatever. Pombe pia is not the same. It's not. It's kind of the one that you pombe ya huko na hapa is very different, man. Ya huko
shida gani ndapatana.
Ya huko
ina nini?
Ya huko ni different, man. Ya huko venye watu wanaita huko hang down. Ya huko huwezi toka kwa bed. Like vizuri,
ni ya kukandamiza mtu.
Kabisa.
Also, I think like sometimes I feel like even the air there is a little different.
A lot of things are different. A lot of
you're
things.
You're around very different people.
Yeah.
Alpha, imagine you're working night and day.
Yeah.
Your body's already exhausted.
Yeah.
Kujo ipe kitu ingine.
It's ile place, different sana.
No, I can imagine. there and eventually you're able to settle and have a family.
Yes.
That's beautiful. How are is your family now, your own family, your you know, if you tell me kids and all that, seeing their dad like that, were your kids, did they ever see you in such of a mess?
I wasn't able to get kids during that time. I was actually able to have a baby with someone after I sobered up.
That's good.
And I'm really grateful kwa sababu mtoi wangu hata ajainiona nikiwa mlevi. Ever. And he never has to see that from me.
That's nice.
So I don't think, I'm grateful, man, you know, God works in mysterious ways because I don't think he would have given me something ni waste. So you couldn't have given me kids your time.
You were not ready for it.
I was not ready for.
And that's fair because one of the biggest problems we have right now is broken homes. You know, and people lost, men lost as boys. So they can't be fathers. I think that's one of the toughest things. And talk about fathers. You mentioned that your dad passed away when you were in your early 20s, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that did a big impact to you getting lost? Because you're one of the children who didn't experience him to a wholesome level as the others did.
To some extent, number one, know this, his passing away should have been a lesson to me because niju yakamnywese.
Oh, what
yeah, so
what essentially took him? Was it a disease or what?
Yeah, related to
alcoholism.
Caused by unajua hizo. Yeah, so when that happened, it should have been a warning sign kwangu, but you know your time because hiyo ilikuwa life yake. Mi wacha kangu kasonge. Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, so I mean, in aspects of like he's not there when I needed him. And mind you, my elder bro who also would have been there for me, you know, was also not around. So he'd gone to the States kind of mapema while I was still in high school.
And he had a family there as well?
Yeah, he had a family there as well. So akukuwa father figure kwa famo. So unajicheki rebelliousness, hakuna mtu wa kukuja kuku.
Kwani mother hezi kuambia uache na uache?
Sasa, you know.
Mother kisema uache.
Najua, my mom, if you meet my mom, I don't think if she was to speak on this mic unaweza msikia loud.
Kwani? She's very soft spoken.
Very.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
Men really need that commanding voice from their fathers.
And now you see, like after my dad passed, she'd never remarried or anything. So, yeah.
Let me ask, when your dad is lost in alcoholism before he passed, how was his relationship with your mother? Because even as a wife, I'd be mad. How was she handling this man coming home, you know, lost?
Well, from what I remember is that he was one of those guys that provided. So he kind of was rightfully, had the right to kwenda kusherekea because he had provided, quote unquote. Sasa like unajua hata akienda piga sherehe yake, there is no asianaulizwa na ushalipiwa chuo, ushafanywa kila kitu, so he has the right to, you know. So like back in the day, you know, they were really, is it timid ama ni aje, hawakuwa, they stayed too. You know?
Oh, mothers. Anaitikia tu.
Then they stayed and waited for whatever.
When dad was passing away, did everyone come home to zindikisha him?
No, actually at that time, just my bro was there. And your time, he just left. He'd not even stayed, like, I think. So there was no point of him coming, you know.
There's a point.
Yeah.
It's the dad.
Yeah, so him... I mean, it's like a year later.
But also I get it's kind of impossible.
Yeah, so at that time, I mean, so when it happened, he wasn't able to come. And like, I think a year or two later, my sister left and went there. So I think hii time sasa ndio rebelliousness yangu itaanza hiyo time sasa. Yeah.
Because mwenye nyumba, mzee wa nyumba shaondoka.
Bro hayuko.
Aya.
So
hakuna mzee anakusho.
Hakuna mzee. Na madhe nimekuambia ni ule
Kasofti. We, naelewa. There's a lot of craziness with families getting lost in alcoholism, right? And I'm glad that your message, even more so, is you can come out of it.
You can. You can.
Si ngumu.
Well, ni ngumu.
Ni ngumu?
Ni ngumu. kama mtu aje make up mind na it's easy to go back because that's the norm for you. It's really easy to go back to what you're used to than to the first years I struggled with that because that was what something major would happen and I'm like this one I can't see as you face CV.
Like the first time you were put away for 8 months. I think after that I would be scared. Anyone would be scared.
With the states that kind of becomes a badge of honor. Yani ujinga hiyo time. Unajua?
Crime.
Unajua the way I looked at it.
No, but I get it because even right now, rappers and gangsters, if you've never been to jail, where una heshima.
Yeah. So it's kind of a badge of honor, but looking back, I'm like, that was the dumbest thing to ever think of. Unajua? Yeah, so yeah.
Okay. I really like that because Anto has really turned his life to a whole new leaf, creating a name for himself and even getting into the trucking business. Yes, I caught on that, Castoro. And kila saa tunasikianga, mi nilienda, I'm driving trucks. And I'm like, okay, how is that? Because I know the hours are long, but the pay is good. And a lot of us being told by the Ministry of Labor, huku tuende tufanye kazi huku kwingine na huku kwingine. Ingawaje watu wanatumwa Saudi Arabia. Is it worth the effort? Is it worth the struggle? Is it worth the hours you have on your backbone?
The trucking industry right now, it's just how you look at it from the angle of how it works out for you. Because number one, you can do the long haul, which is kwenda from state to state to state to state to state. Now, the downside of that long haul, for me, from my personal point of view, is when you're doing that long haul, you spend a lot. Say you're employed by a company doing that long haul. You don't make as much. I believe you don't make as much because unakula kwa njia, unalala kwa njia, unafanya kila kitu kwa njia.
Hapo ndo una save, tumi rent. Unaona?
But unaona hautumii rent, yes. But zile ujue kila kitu ni do. Kuoga, kila kitu ni do. Versus like me who is a local driver mwenye analala home making slightly less but niko comfort ya home na family na all of that.
Yeah.
That's the win-win for me. Yeah, because if I was younger, I'd be able to go and do that. Now I see sijioni 11 hours behind the wheel leo. 11 hours kesho, I can't.
I can imagine ile kazi unafaa kufanya massage ya mgongo inafaa kwa mzito juu unaweza umia.
Back in the day mtu alikuwa anatoka kwa hiyo lori na sama. Sasa hii ni kujishikilia.
Nasoma salt. Because you're younger, you have the energy now. Ni pole pole. Umejiita mzee mapema. But seeing a lot of people going to the States, and you've seen people either go and come back with nothing. Others go and come back with everything. There's so many stories of how life could go. What would be your best take on life? Because kuna wale ulisema wanadeportia. Me, I think I know one person who was deported. Sadly, it was quite a sad affair. And then there's so many stories of others who come and do so well. The others who come, they leave money here, wanakuta imekuliwa yote. Mtu mwenye anataka ku take a leap of faith to go. What could you tell them?
If you're doing well in Kenya, and if you're making a certain amount of money, and you're doing well, like unaweza sustain family na kila kitu, come visit the States. Come utembe.
Yeah.
Come usiuze kila kitu, come seto.
Yeah.
I say that because of this. Things have changed a lot. It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, things have changed a lot. It's different. Also, economically, man, it's not the best place to be,
Yeah.
For the people who do well when they come back, there's so much you learn when you're there. There's so much you learn that you can apply here. You've seen a lot of companies that are out there are coming and franchising huku. So that means there's potential here also.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential here in a lot of things. There's a lot of untapped markets in a lot of things.
I think there's another scary aspect that people had with the change in governance. Now Trump is in office. You've been there, baby. Tangu Bush. Unajua mimi nilikuwa wapi Bush akiwa tangu Bush ameingia Obama, we got Biden, Trump, then Biden. Yeah. My gosh. And then back to Trump again.
Yeah.
One of the biggest fears for a lot of people who are not of the same color, who are not necessarily white, is that, the fear of immigration, unfair treatment, among so many other things. Did you witness that for the first time when Trump was in governance?
Yeah. Truth be known, that is something that will never die off. And having said that, the closest experience I've had of someone is someone telling me to go back to where I came from. But in the real sense, ile place yamtu. It's a nation, it's a country built by immigrants, No one was born there except the Indians and the earlier black people who are living there. So for someone to come and, having been an immigrant before I became a citizen of Vuko Ivo, and having to listen to all the thing, the fear yenye is being spread of watarudisha watu, having been in those shoes, it just pains me to know how it feels to live in fear, and the upside to that is if you're investing back here, na kama kuna vitu unadu hapa hivi, knowing that hata ukirudishwa uko sawa.
Yeah.
I don't see the point of mtu kuogopa juu as long as unaweza rudi kwenu, but you see now the problem
kila
is kila mtu anakwao. But now it gets to a point where people are really scared and people don't know how it's gonna be and nini. We're just hopeful it's not gonna be like the last presidency where you found that there were so many mass shootings, kulikuwa na vitu tu
during the first time Trump was in office. The shootings were a little bit high.
I think your time kulikuwa na so many mass shootings. There were so many hate crimes. There was so many, in your time George Floyd na nini. There's so many things, like due to your rhetoric yake, make America great again. So people kind of take that and take it on a different light, you know. But that's the state I was in then. The state I'm in now, I like a lot because there's
Which
no...
Which state are you in now?
I'm in Washington.
Washington. Oh, you're at the Capitol?
No, not the Capitol.
Oh.
Not DC, Washington, the state.
Oh, okay.
Seattle.
This is hatujui the difference. Sisi huku tukisikia Washington ni Washington.
Yeah, I'm in Washington as town called Spokane.
Okay.
Yeah, so in Washington, because it's like really close to Idaho, which at one point in time hosted, held the headquarters at KKK, place called Hayden, Idaho.
Where?
So, uko hivyo, there's no in between, hakuna ka gray area. If they hate you, then they don't hide it. So you know who to stay away from. Unajua? As opposed to these other states where they smile in your face yet really hate you.
I gave someone that analogy about your president. Yeah. And I said, one thing I like about your president, he's been very clear about how he feels about our color of skin.
Yeah.
And he's never changed.
And he's never changed. So if you look at where we are right now, you know who to mess with and who not to mess with and who to stay away from, and attack kwa job. And they don't even hide it,
They probably won't give you work or something like that.
No, not that. The people you work, like the people that I work with, there's a way they just don't mess with you, or treat you, or talk to you.
Have you ever employed a racist person?
Not been employed by?
Have you ever been employed by a racist person?
They won't show it.
Na nakupea kazi.
It's something that's really hidden, by the way.
Na nakulipa.
It's you have to be there to know it exists, Because if you don't know the existence of it, if you live like you're oblivious that it exists, that's when things like...
What are these undertones you hear? How do they act? I don't know.
Ni tu madharau tu. I think you've watched a few movies where you see like they say they won't touch something you've touched. Ama hata if you know, ama wakiona umeguza food hawatakula hiyo food tena. It's there's two things. You'll know there's two signs.
Juu umeichafua.
So you'll know.
Anyway, it's sad when people look at us differently and yet we all bleed red.
Yeah.
It's one of the craziest things ever. But how do you feel about the future now for yourself and your businesses and moving forward? Because 24 years, lost 10 years, back. It's been a crazy journey, but it continues.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just grateful. And I'm really thankful to be where I'm at, and now having a son of my own.
Wow. How old is your son?
My son is 10.
As a baby.
Yeah.
He's a little boy.
Having a son who I want to show different things in life, who I want to introduce to our culture. He's half white, so there's so much I'd love for him to learn about CC, where we come from, where we are going, the future, I'm just hopeful that the next few years, God willing, me and my family can settle here and just go visit Uko once in a while, we're hopeful that, this place, Kenya, can be like the States. It's easy. Imagine.
Unaona tunaweza fika. Wajua kwanza tuna host Grammys sisi, si uliona? Tulilipa 500 million. Tunakuja kufanana na nyinyi. Enyewe hiyo ni joke, sio kitu ni wana tu.
I hope I am so hopeful it would happen, because imagine we're not that far off.
You think so?
I see there's potential here. Mi napenda huku design, yani mi nagonaga inaweza fikia stato and over and beyond, to a point where no one needs to enter kushinda akienda huko.
Tunaweza tengeneza pesa kaa hiyo.
Number one, mi ona huku if it was everything was like a 24-hour economy, would be where we're supposed to be,
I think you used to walking out at 3 a.m. to get a snack.
Easy.
Huko unless unge town pale Sanford.
So
see places more but a snack at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Very hopeful this place gets there and we are able to do. Honestly, like I said, for someone who lives here at kwenda kutafuta a better life huko, yes, there is a better life, but at what cost? So I think if we make this place better and
sustainable
in every aspect, like yote, every aspect you look at it, like financially, spiritually, in Stato is not the ultimate.
It's not the land of the promised. I like that perspective. It's always good to be realistic. And I can imagine as a Kenyan, you always feel like you want to be home, and I get it. I really, really understand. I'm so glad you're able to share your story today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'd want you to share one of the heaviest and most sincere message you'd have for that boy in 87 who is still figuring it out. Him and his boys think ile at 10 inashika. Na hata inabamba sana mpaka bangi inashika vizuri sana. Huo kijana, kwa sababu wengi wako na story kaya yako. Their fathers are gone. It's only mom at home. No one is staying guided. Everyone is looking for their own coin, so no one has time to concentrate on the boy. What would you say to that young boy at 87?
I remember one quote when I got to Salvation Army that I usually talk about a lot. It says, why lose everything for one thing when you can stop one thing and have everything?
Again, wale wa nyuma wasikie.
Hiyo quote ilikuwa kwa ukuta hivi, ilikuwa inasema why lose everything for one thing when you can stop one thing and have everything?
Wow.
And it is so true. Maze, that quote, so true, because maze, everything, like the day I read it, I had nothing. And this day, maze, looking back, I have everything and some.
Yeah. Even to give to the community.
Na taxes.
Allah. Usiseme na nguvu za kaya nasikiza. Thank you so much for watching. This is season 2. This is season 2 finale of the POV podcast. My name is Kate Shira. Remember, you can stream us on all platforms. It's all about African stories and African leadership.